Thank you for joining us today, everybody. We are joined by Marcus of Man. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, loving life in this Corona lockdown times that we're in, but as much as we can do, yeah.
That's pretty much the standard answer at the moment. We've spoken to so many people over the last year, and it's like a loaded question now. You say, "How's it going?" Well, as good as it can be, I guess.
Do you know what? Yeah, and the professional wrestling things, something we sort of like fake it until you make it. Just put up the facade that you wanted. It's like, yeah, it's all going well. Any further questions? No, good.
I always like it's the best thing you ask. It just comes out of your mouth. You know how you're doing. You're all right, mate. And you think so. Hang on a minute. Everyone's doing.
You can't start an interview with. Thanks for joining us. We're all doing shit.
It's such a British thing, though, and that's what I missed, like having emigrated. But it's like, yeah, how's it going? And it's like, do you want an answer? Because if you ask that here in Sweden, we might get into that. But I moved to Sweden like 12 years ago, so it's like, if you ask that here, you might be like, okay, there's more questions coming, and then you might be in a half an hour conversation there with somebody. But in England, it's like,
when you go to America and you say to someone, "Oh, all right, mate." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm good, thank you." And it's like, no, I wasn't asking how you are. I was saying hello. It just doesn't translate.
I'm just going to start ignoring people when we start doing this now. And just say hello, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do.
Just shoot them a look. I'm sure they'll be just like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's sorry, suddenly.
That's it. I'm going to have to. See, you said you emigrated to Sweden 12 years ago. I mean, I didn't notice. Was you born in Sweden, or are you English? Because you've got a very good English accent.
Yeah. I was born not in England, but in the Isle of Man. And for the character comes from Marcus of Man. So I'm from the Isle of Man. I'm one of the strange folks from the island that you Northern English people have heard about. Most of the people from like Liverpool, but I know from your area as well. There's weird people on the island and they live there. So that's where I'm from. Population of around 90,000 people. So I emigrated from there to Stockholm, Sweden, where I live now, and a part of Stockholm Wrestling.
Awesome. Well, before we talk Stockholm Wrestling, I did do a bit of research. Obviously, Isle of Man, you actually wrestled for All Star Wrestling.
I did.
We have to ask you what that was like.
As a youth, I was one of the typical people like going around pestering the wrestlers, wanting to know everything about the business, trying to get involved. So I went away in it was 2003. Doesn't seem that long ago when I think of it now, 18 years ago. Over to Portsmouth, down the south coast of England, and I did a training camp there with the FWA when they existed, down in Fratton in Portsmouth. So I got a bit of wrestling experience from that, learned some of the stuff, and then from that I was like, okay, now I need to get into it, to get to know the people, to do the things. So when they were coming over on the shows there, I was about 17. I think the first shows they came over on the Isle of Man. So it was the All-Star group. Brian Dixon, the promoter there, legendary.
I was gonna say, do you have any interactions with the?
I know where Callum's going with this, Marcus. He's going to ask, because we've spoke to Nathan Cruz, Mark Haskins, Adam Maxted. He's going to make you do a Brian Dixon impression.
Let me ask. Right. So I was going to say you've obviously had interactions with the legendary Brian Dixon.
Well, I knew who he was from the magazines, from Power Slam magazine. So I was like, all right, I know who the guy is. So I was like, I have I guess, step ahead of the other people wanting to be wrestlers there and just fans. I was like, I know who he is, and I knew he was the guy sitting at the back of the crowd there at the corner of the room. Mm-hmm. So Bryan Danielson was on the show the night before. When he was still doing Ring of Honor and coming over and doing the UK tours. I could recognize he was a good worker, but he wasn't like one of the stars on the show, because they wanted to see the people who were like 6 foot or whatever doing the power moves. So I went over and I sat next to Brian Dixon, who was sitting at the back, and I was like, oh, he's a really good work. He's doing a really good job on this one. I was trying to be like, yeah, I'm 17 years old. I can talk all about the business. But he had a kind of chat with me there. So we started talking about wrestling. I'd done a bit of working before, taking some bumps in the ring. And he said, all right, lad, I'll put you on. If you come here in a few weeks, I'll put you on a battle royal. You go there, go to the lads, I'll take care of you. Go over there, we'll do a thing. You'll be the local hero. It's going to be great. We'll come back. Last show of the term. We'll come back and we'll put you on. Okay, all right, lads. So from that day, that's as much as I'm going to do with Brian because I don't know him that well. But he was very, very friendly. His daughter Letitia was very friendly as well, helping out with just kind of getting communication, kind of being like a liaison with the people who were there, like Dean Mormark, Robbie Dynamite. And so the week after, so they did like a summer term thing. I think it was in 2005. That was. So they came over every Monday, the whole of August, and they had like the end show first week of September, just before kids go back to school. Some holidays are over. So each of those August Monday shows, I got like the afternoon off work, and I went down and I could work a little bit in the ring with the guys who were over for that night's show. Then I'd do the merch stand on the actual show. To build up to, I'd get to be in the Battle Royal, represent the Isle of Man, and get thrown up the ring by Robbie Brookside in all my glory. But that was one of the greatest nights of my young life up to that point.
And that was a good impression. That was a good impression.
Yeah, I always ask, if somebody has been to All-Star Wrestling, I've got to hear the Brian Dixon impression. And you know what? That was a good one for on the spot.
Oh, cheers, lads. Cheers.
You mentioned a guy as well, but obviously, Robbie Brookside. Someone I think he's so underrated. People don't realise how good he is. I mean, did you get to learn anything from Robbie while you was there?
So I was so intimidated when I was there. I could talk to the younger guys who are around about my age.
Yeah.
I was like Robbie and Frankie Sloan. I was like, these guys are kind of like a higher. They were friendly and everything. You did the wrestler, the thing. You shake hands and you talk. But just before I went out, so on like the whole day, I didn't say more than 2 or 3 words to him. Just before I went out for this battle royal, he said to me, he put me to the side. He was like, "So you go there, lots of energy. Make sure you smile and slap hands with as many like of the kids on the way there, and I'll be the one throwing you out. So listen to me." And it was like, as I say, like it's like a 30-second thing.
Yeah.
But it was so important, and it gave me like the feeling of like the confidence that okay, I can go out and do this now, and Robbie's going to throw me out at the end, it's going to be fine. So, yeah. But the guy, I mean, he's got such a kind of presence when he's in the locker room there.
Yeah.
Someone everybody looks up to, everybody can, and obviously the work he's doing now with NXT, I mean, you can see the results of that on the TV shows, on the next generation that's come through now. He's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was an All-Star show, the first time I got to see Robbie as well. He's such a friendly dude. I'd just gone to the toilet at the intermission. He just had his match, and I'm washing my hands in the toilet. And he stood next to me washing his hands too and goes, "You having a good night, son?" And I was like, "Yeah, Robbie." And I was like awestruck because I'm only like 15 years old, and there's Robbie Brookside washing his hands next to me. But I can only imagine what it was like getting to, actually have experiences with him in the ring, because he's done so much. He's been around for like as long as William Regal, for example. Yeah. He's got all that knowledge, and now he's in NXT and able to pass on that knowledge. It's the perfect role for someone like him who's got all that experience. Do you feel like All-Star helped you, in your early career to get that confidence, to get that experience, and become the wrestler you are now?
It was definitely the stepping stone to make me believe I can go from I'm a fan, I'm here watching, I'm around with these guys, to being, because you think, okay, when I get in the ring, am I going to forget everything? Am I going to do the moves? How does it work with different people? But All-Star, in like the short amount of time I worked there and the training and things, it was kind of a good experience to go in with like Julio Torres. He's a guy from Puerto Rico, not like very well known, but it's a guy with another style, another place. Obviously, they took over Americans or Canadians, Canadian Widowmaker, Dave Swift. These guys aren't like names, but different places, different styles, because a lot of these people passed through All Star. Just because, or mainly when you can go on tours and go to the camps and you're working every night, and you got like a lot of experience that way. That's kind of gone to now. I've worked with Mega Slam Wrestling the past couple of years when they've done the shows in the Isle of Man.
Oh yeah, that's with Brad Flash? Is it? Who does Mega Slam?
Yeah, and Brad Taylor.
Brad Taylor. Yeah,
he's running those ones. But it's again like a lot of different people coming in and working the shows there, and you get the chance to work with people like James Mason, like for example, which was again, I put like James Mason like around like the same Robbie Brooks side from that. Like last of the old school people training, but he's not that old relatively to wrestling. He's got so much knowledge, so much to give, and so willing to help the younger people coming through. So someone like James Mason, he really got me through my first like big main event match on the Isle of Man there.
I got to see, it was, you mentioned Bryan Danielson earlier doing All Star. It was Bryan Danielson versus James Mason that I got to see at that show. And that was just a masterclass, because obviously we know Danielson's a great worker, but James Mason kept up with him. And really, they were just going hold for hold technical wrestling. And it was on just a random All-Star show. And I was like, this is incredible. So yeah, James Mason.
Brilliant about those shows, though. So we can go there as like smart fans, people trying to get in the business, watch the shows. And then you've got the 5, 6, 7-year-olds who are there. It's like, that American guy, he sang the national anthem. I hate him. Yeah. He's saying America's brilliant and Great Britain sucks. And it's like, you've got it on like all the different levels. And then they realize it's like, this is what wrestling is. It's not just technical wrestling. You've got the character part of it. You're going to have the good guy coming through and prevailing and telling the story on the way. Yeah. And then everybody gets something from it. And that's what we want from wrestling, really.
That's what we, like I said, we've spoken to a few guys that have worked there, and they've said how important like All-Star was to their career. And you learn everything. And we spoke to Adam Maxted last night, who credited it with a lot of his success and the way he works now. It's just a wonderful place to go and hone your craft. Same with Mega Slam. But moving across, obviously, you moved to Sweden. The Scandinavian scene at the moment is incredible. I mean, it's just, I think we spoke to Christian from Body Slam a few weeks ago, and we said, I think Scandinavia is going to have that boom period that we had in Britain 4 or 5 years ago. Do you see that soon?
That's really what's happening now. It's like it's blossoming like into something from had maybe its humble beginnings around 2010-ish. A few small promotions running kind of like outlaw things. Some people were running shows without even a ring. They were just doing it like up on a stage, 1 or 2 matches, and like a burlesque show in between. And that was like advertising coming to wrestling. But it's exploded. People wanting to do it, getting trained properly, going away to train, taking in people here, getting higher production values. We're certainly trying to do that in Stockholm. The Gothenburg scene, they go from strength to strength, and their production is brilliant. I'd love to see more videos coming out from that promotion. We've got Malmo down in the south. Just across from Malmo is obviously we've got Copenhagen, and we've got Body Slammers there. And their production and their shows are brilliant. They're increasing the levels every single time, bringing in the best talent. They understand what the wrestling fans want, and they're educating a new audience to fall in love with wrestling, but also being like a legitimate part of the European scene. So I know Finland does what I'm going to say a lot of good things about as well. FCF are doing amazing things over there.
Yeah, there's so many good promotions over there. It really took me by surprise. I know a few podcasts have really been delving into the Scandi Grap scene recently, and as soon as we found out, like it's kind of ignorant in a way, because obviously with UK wrestling, we're so used to having our own scene that we kind of think there isn't much of a scene in the rest of Europe. And then when you find out there's this Scandi Graps, you're like, okay, what's this? You look into it, and there's all these great wrestlers you've never heard of before. So, and all these great promotions like Body Slam, Stockholm, and since we've started watching it, we're just hooked. And now we want to come out and see it, but we can't because of COVID. So.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's this thing like the UK scene. When I started like coming up in this, there was like the FWA down the south, NWA Hammerlock, and then I mean All-Star was running, and then tribute shows. And you see fake Kane, also was fake Undertaker, and Rick Foley. That was the kind of thing. But that it grew from that to be, what it is today. And obviously the scene last year got rocked with a few controversies, but it's going to recover from that. And I think we're going to filter out the bad aspects, and the good stuff is going to rise to the top. What we're being now is rocked by the COVID corona crisis here in Sweden and in Finland and in Denmark, but there's so many people so eager to find a way that it's going to happen, and so many people sitting with so many good ideas. A lot of us are talking internally, having these kind of conversations, and what I'm hoping is a Scandinavian/Nordic super show in the future.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, it's going to be something that's going to happen. So when all the borders are released, we can call it something like that. The borders are down and COVID is over, like war commence or something. Hype it up, and we've got so many fans. Everyone will be pulling for their people.
For example, Body Slam. They're on IWTV. Yeah. Look how many eyes are getting brought to the Scandinavian wrestling scene through Body Slam alone. I think that's awesome. I'm hoping more companies like Fight TV, for example, and IWTV pick up more companies from over there, because let's face it, there's a lot of American fans who won't be able to make the travel over to Sweden or Denmark, but they'll still get to watch it online, and I think that's just as important.
It is. It's like what we can do as well. Like, how can we market it better to an international audience? Well, the first thing is like, okay, get a good commentary team who can be coherent in English and make it exciting. We've got a lot of footage already recorded, and as you say, it's important having footage with fans, with a live fan experience, especially now when people can't go to shows. You can be like, okay, I can see a show which is new to me, even if it was recorded a year ago, with fans being passionate there. And we have that with English commentary, and easy enough to follow storylines, so nothing too much bogged down in language. Wrestling should be relatively simple anyway. The story should be told in the ring. I don't see why Scandinavian wrestling can't be enjoyed all over the world.
And how important as well do you think? Obviously, Body Slam, for example, went over to Germany for WXW, who are arguably the biggest promotion in Europe. I mean, how important is that, do you think, as well, for the Scandinavian scene?
It was really big, like to get their name out there, to get it seen, and then be on the WXW Now network as well. I don't know if you know, Body Slams were also part of Shikara King of Trios. They sent a team there.
Yeah.
Years ago. And that also was getting people to okay, because I think they had the tournament that year in the UK, which is also a bit different for them. It also gets people, people's eyes on different things, and there's different trends in wrestling. Kind of when they sent the Sendai girls from Japan there, that also was like, okay, we want to see this. And I was like, okay, Manami Toyota started wrestling, 15 years after she was famous, and it gets people looking at different. So it depends where. I mean, everything is a question of the timing and the right placement. Maybe the way everything is now is the time for people to look towards Nordic Scandinavian wrestling. I've got to call it Nordic wrestling, by the way, and this was from a personal chat I had the other day. When I say Scandinavian wrestling, there's only Norway, Sweden, Denmark. If I say Nordic, that encompasses all of it.
I like that. Okay, we'll remember that as well. That's going to be really handy.
Every time I say Scandinavian wrestling or Scandinagraps, people
Nordigraps.
They're like, we're here too. The Nordics.
We'll go with Nordigraps.
Have you just created the new Graps, Callum?
It's hashtag Nordigraps.
Nordic Graps. If you do that, you got a lot of Finnish people who are being like, yes, now we can take it, and then they'll just sneak in.
Yeah.
Now, the Nordic Heavyweight Championship, because we've got a Nordic Championship, which is being held by a Finnish guy, right now called the San. He's like, so the Finnish guy holds our Nordic belt. So it's not a Norwegian or Swedish person anymore. It's a Finland person.
So the Finnish, the Nordic champion, is that just what's the concept behind that then? Because it's going to only be defended in those countries, or?
Well, we started with a tournament. So we had the Nordic Wrestling Championship, and we had a sponsorship deal by a company. And they were like, well, we're going to have our name on this. We're going to have, there was like an alcoholic drink they were going to try and do, like a Viking drink.
Yeah.
And we're like, we want something special for our tournament. And we're going to have the show outdoors, and we're going to have a championship on the line. So they had that, I think, 3 years ago, and decided the Nordic champion from that. So we've like got the Stockholm champion, Sweden champion. Now we want the Nordic champion, one level above. And that was won by I think Starbuck was the first Nordic champion, Canadian/Finnish wrestler. He's the guy who kind of started wrestling there in Finland and created the scene. So he was the champion there, and then Swedish champions. Timmy Force won the belt for Sweden there, and it's gone forward and backwards, and now a guy in Finland has it. So we've got a kind of like a diverse title scene here. Every company has a championship. Then we've got the Swedish championship, and then
you know what it reminds me of? It's like the old territories in America.
It is. It is, and it's good. We can have a kind of working agreement, and we have belts, which encompass larger areas. I've got the one Stockholm City belt.
Oh, that belt is beautiful.
Wow.
Can actually, for the thumbnail of this episode, get that on your shoulder. There we go. Give us a pose. There we go. That's the thumbnail.
That is a beautiful belt, man. I mean,
stunning.
And it must be a big deal to you to hold that as well, to be representing.
It's a weird one, especially not coming from this country or from this town originally. But it's a belt which has been held by previous champions, Frank Anderson, who wrestled in WCW previously. He was the champion, and little known fact, El Generico was the champion for a while in our early days. So El Generico was on one of the early shows for Stockholm Wrestling and won the belt from our local champion. And then the belt got stolen mysteriously, and then there was a tournament to decide the new one.
Oh, this is before El Generico retired and opened it off.
I believe he's like working in some sort of, some sort of restaurant down there in Mexico, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Kevin Steen is there on visits sometimes.
That's what I've heard.
There's a lot of rumours in there. I mean, will we ever see El Generico again? This is the question. Who knows?
I don't know. I think he should have his own online show. I don't know. Can put it out there. Anyone?
We'll put it out there. Let's get that. We'll get that on the old hashtag.
Yeah, we'll tag him in the episode when it goes up. See if we can get a response out of him.
Yeah. It's like we need to have like an El Generico, like is trying to look for the guy who stole the championship. There is a video of that on one of the old Stockholm Wrestling. You've got to go back about 10 years, but there is a video, and it's Kenny Omega and El Generico like arguing, talking, like, who stole your belt, man? Who stole your belt? I don't know, man. Oh, you saw it? There was a controversy. We need to get that footage up again.
Got to check that out.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a link if I can find it. But.
Well, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, like El Generico, how important do you think it has been as well for like the European wrestlers to come across? Obviously, like with Body Slam, we've had Chuck Mambo, TK Cooper. I mean, how important has that been as well for the scene?
I think that's been very important to get eyes on our products because people follow these wrestlers, and it does create a kind of a buzz. The people we've had over here, like we had Earl Hebner refereeing a title match for Stockholm Wrestling.
Wow.
That was. For some reason, it ended in controversy, some sort of screw job finish, I hear. So that did happen, but it's important for us for our talent, our wrestlers as well, having people more experienced coming over and working with us and can talk through things. Joey Legend, Just Joe in WWF, has been a guy like helping us and training quite a few times. So I think it's important. There's been a few people, but I think Body Slam has been maybe the best one of implementing wrestlers who have a style and maybe have a following to come over to their shows, but it kind of fits in their shows. It doesn't feel like, oh, there's someone coming from the outside to do a thing, and then they leave. It's not like, I'll give an example here. I'm not going to like bash down this guy, and I kind of look like him right now as well. Jim Duggan. It's not like, okay, we're booking Jim Duggan for a one-off shot. Oh!
You know what? I was actually thinking you look more like Keanu Reeves than Jim Duggan.
Oh, cheers, dude. I'll take that one.
Yeah, I agree, actually. Yeah,
you know what I mean, though? It's like if you bring in talent who are good wrestlers who are just got a following, but they're not over the hill. And you're not bringing them for like, oh, we can get some of the people who maybe on the street like, oh, I kind of know that wrestler from the 80s. But people who can fit to the product, like Body Slam has done.
Yeah.
And then they lift the product instead of like they're in for one night and then they leave and then the promotions. It doesn't help the promotion in that way long term.
Yeah. But I mean, you mentioned Body Slam, but I mean, Stockholm Wrestling's making a name for itself as well. I mean, how important has it been for you to obviously help lift that company up? Because their name's getting out there just as much as Body Slam.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it that way because I kind of started there after I had a long break from wrestling. So I was like, I came to Sweden because there wasn't any wrestling here when I moved here. I was like, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do boxing. I'm going to have a band. I'm going to try these things. And then the wrestling scene started growing here, and I was like, well, I've got to be a part of it. My love for wrestling never has left me, has never disintegrated. I've got to do this. So that's why I started training. But I got a lot of help from the people here, like coming up. But I feel like because I have such like a passion for the wrestling, I always want to help the company grow. So it's like, what do I have my strengths? I could be like a strong heel character. What are the Swedish people like? Okay, they like their patriotism, they're proud of who they are. They like British things, but it's funnier if it's a British guy who hates them, who's ultra patriotic the other way. So Sweden is terrible. It's a backwards country. They don't know how things work here. You know, they have to have instruction manuals to put together the furniture. They're awful. And then just, get it from their castles when this, slave Jeeves brings it around. So playing on these kind of ideas and these archetypes just led to a lot of people love to hate me, and I was like, how can I get it more and more and more? And last show that I had, just to push it over the top, I had my own violin player playing me in and doing my own entrance. Had the Venetian mask, kind of like the Eyes Wide Shut kind of thing.
Yeah.
And came with a bottle of champagne, just completely over the top. It was like, how many wrestling tropes can I put into one thing? Do the Nakamura violin, Chris Jericho, a bit of the bubbly, have a mask on, pomp and circumstance, and have a 2-minute long entrance. But I mean, after that, it's the match.
I love that. Match. Yeah, where do you go from there when you've got an entrance that epic?
It was fun. It's the last match that I've had, unfortunately, because after that was just it was in February last year, and then everything with Corona hit. But to have my last match there as it is now, as being a main event with that kind of entrance, that kind of finality to it, and winning and defending the belt, it's leaving it there on a high, and then when we take it up to the next time, it's going to be the question of, okay, this arrogant son of a bitch has come to our town, taken our belt, thinks he's better than all of us. It's just right for who's going to be the challenger to come up and defeat.
It's a perfect story, because you've come in, like you said, you've taken the championship, you've taken everything, you think you're better than they are. Yeah. It's just begging for a hometown hero to rise up against you.
It's I did a promo at Christmas time, and I'm like, guys, longest time undefeated champion, longest reigning ever. And it's I've had one title defense.
But technically true.
But it's true.
And that's the best kind of correct.
Exactly.
Have you, you said as well, that was your last match. Have you still had a chance to get in the ring and train still? And because you always hear about ring rust.
Yeah, the thing of it is, it's like we have to put the ring like in storage, and then we're waiting to get a chance to be able to train. We've got like laws, sanctions in place. It's like, well, you can be in the training center, but you have to be 2 meters apart from the people to doing that. So okay, we're gonna do like Jedi mind trick wrestling here. It's like it's not gonna work to do the training, to do the things, to put on shows. We can't have people in an arena or in a hall or anything right now. So we are just waiting for the government to start relaxing on the sanctions that we've got on, and then we'll get back to training and then planning on a show. But the itch is real. We all want to get back to the ring, like everybody in the Scandinavian scene who I'm talking to.
You're gonna feel that first bump though, aren't you, when you go back?
To be honest, I went out running in the snow the other day, and I took 2 bumps, and the wrestling mentality took in. I was like, bang, flat back bump, straight back up. I'm running. People walking the dog by the side were like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? He seems to enjoy it. But yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that. I love the idea of the wrestling mentality takes over. You're going outside.
Yeah.
Oh, snow. Flat back. Yeah.
It was like my intention was like, I'm going to go for like a 5K run. It was like 2 days ago.
I respect that.
But you've got to keep in shape. We're all trying to do what we can do, keep in shape and do what we can. But ring shape, as we all know who do this, it's very different. You're going to be running the ropes for the first time, doing the first maneuvers up and down for a comeback. It's going to take some time for everybody to get back and ready for this.
At least it's happened to everybody. I guess there's one silver lining. It's not just you, it's everybody. And when everybody comes back, they're all going to feel it. So, that's true. It would be worse if it was just, yourself. But everyone's going to be on an even playing field when they come back, and everyone's going to be just as keen to get back in the ring. I really do think, getting back to like the boom period you're about to have over there, in a weird way, there's a silver lining for you, because you've got all this time now to create that buzz for Nordic wrestling. And when it does come back, there's going to be so many eyes ready on that product. It's going to be unreal. And even these kind of interviews that you're doing now, I think that's raising the attention for the scene there. And like we said, we want to come over there as soon as we can. We will do. But until then, we'll be checking it out online. We're just fans of the product now. So if anything, this time can be used for building that scene up a bit.
I agree with you. I hope it will do. As I say, the only worry I've got is for the people around here who aren't used to wrestling, who haven't seen it so much. But I know our fans, the people who are involved, they are writing to us and they're asking like, when are the next shows coming on?
That's awesome.
Is there going to be training? Is there going to be something else coming up? And there's a thirst and a hunger for wrestling to return.
That's good.
Do it in a big way, but we'll see. We'll see what the shows are going to look like. But I'm hoping for the best. And then, as I say, hopefully Nordic Graps.
Nordic Graps, yeah.
Nordic Graps Super Show. And then everybody like from the UK who's been watching this from the outside, then it's your time to come in and watch the shows. Hey, maybe take part. Might need some announcers. Who knows?
Hey, give us a call.
I mean, to be fair, if we get over there and the first show we see is a Nordic Super Show, I think we'll be in heaven, won't we, Callum? I think we couldn't have asked for anything better. But you mentioned the thirst. I'm curious as well. I mean, I keep seeing you have a drink. What are you drinking?
So it's like, I've heard that you guys talk about whiskey a lot on this show, and I was like, well, I can't come here empty-handed.
I love that that's become a thing. Yeah.
I have not got a whiskey here, but I thought I'd have to have something a bit more fancy. So I've got a Lagunitas IPA.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
A bit of a more fancy Indian pale ale with the California style.
Beautiful.
So,
this is it, you see. I mean, I think that's why I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy talking to Alice as well, is because you both like alcohol, which is brilliant,
I was going to say Alice, who is Alice, but I didn't let that one go. I heard she's a good wrestler here from the Nordic part, so when we meet up, it's usually a few drinks, and then fighting usually ensues. We haven't figured out who's the best one of us yet, but we'll see. But there's a good culture here with people wanting to get together and having fun as well.
Yeah.
Shows. I mean, that's what wrestling is about, isn't it? We're
Absolutely.
a group of happy people who are, if we had a boat, we'd all be pirates. You know what I mean? Kind of like do nothing. Not like Paul Burchill, but better.
Hey, Pirate Burchill was awesome. And
I know he was brilliant. He was like in the FWA wrestling when I was training. Back in those days, so I know the Legend of Burchill, and it was his finisher called the C4. They called it
C4, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. It's like
the flipping rock bottom, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. What's he doing now in the business? Does anybody know?
He's a fireman.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he left WWE, tried to stay in the Indies there, but came back to the UK, then became a fireman.
That's like a no profession, I'd say.
The first ever wrestling show I went to, he was the main event with D'Lo Brown and Doug Williams.
Yeah.
And he won the IWP championship. And when I saw the C4, it blew my mind. I was like, what the hell was that? Because I'd only watched WWE up to then. And then a few years later, he debuts as a pirate in WWE, and I was like, what the fuck?
I did like the pirate gimmick though. It's kind of like one of those. If they'd stuck with it, it would have been like a cult thing, like they have other things now. Like they found the boogeyman up every now and again. It's like, can you just turn up to Raw? It would have been like that if they'd stuck with it. It'd have been a
surprise Rumble entry.
Exactly. Oh, hey, a few days left. Are you gonna put any money on that one? Like,
hey, that would be worth a little.
I wouldn't be. But think if we're right there. Like now, you got. I mean, Jesus. Think we've predicted that.
Number 30. Yeah, counting down. Pirate Burchill, number 30.
My God.
It would be better though if they did it and he was like on the rope and he came out and he just swung, missed everything and just fell out of the thing, and someone else ran out instead. He'd be like, shucks.
I'll be disappointed if that's not it now. Hey, and WrestleMania coming up is pirate themed.
Ah, okay, there you go.
I think we're onto something here.
Well, PCO is still wrestling, isn't he?
He is.
No.
Have we cracked it? Have we figured it out?
I think we've cracked the code, yeah. Pirate Burchill versus Drew McIntyre at Mania.
Okay, I'd say. I think I'd take it. You know what? I renew my network subscription just for that.
I'd take that over McIntyre Goldberg any day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be negative on this, but no.
Wow. I mean, you blow my mind. I didn't realize Burchill was a firefighter. That's
man, firefighter.
Okay, good for him. But obviously, like future goals as well. I mean, we spoke to Christian at Body Slam. His goal, obviously, he wants to get all the eyes on the Scandinavian scene. Is that your goal at the moment?
Yeah, as many people watching our products as it can be. I'm involved with trying to help grow the Stockholm product and a few different avenues there as well. Like, should we be marketing more shows, towards kids, younger audience, like the WWE does, or should we keep on the vein that we're doing and be more like for a cult audience, for people who want to go out, have a few drinks, and watch something like going on? It's like, well, so I'm involved in both the areas of that. I help booking the See It Live wrestling shows, which we have there, which are more of a training group show, more the NXT of Stockholm wrestling, let's say.
Yeah.
And I'm involved in the training side, so I'm very interested and want to help the next generation coming through here. But I think the whole of the Swedish scene, I want to see it grow. Me myself, I want to wrestle in more places in Europe. I wrestled in Denmark and in Sweden, in Switzerland as well. I had a great time wrestling in Switzerland. Love to go back. And I want to wrestle more in the UK. More shows in different places. I know there's some islands off the coast of Scotland, some nice whiskey producing islands, which have wrestling shows every now and again. I think Megaslam.
I'll meet you there.
It's I'll get you the date, and I'll be like, right, we're getting a boat on this time. We're getting back to the pirate thing again, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Basically. Leave the podcast business. We'll all be pirates. But we'll get in your own boat. We'll go there. We'll have a wrestling show, and the day after, we'll go to some of the distilleries and have a look around.
Dude, I haven't had a drink for 2 years, but I'd drink again if it meant doing that. Let's do it.
Hey, I'm there, dude. I'm there. And if I have to dress like a pirate, I'm totally up for that as well. I mean, let's just do it.
You don't have to, but I've got a feeling you're going to turn up like a pirate anyway.
He'd do it anyway.
Hell yeah, man.
Mighty beard.
Let's just invade the little Scottish island. Let's just do it.
I was thinking like being the best wrestler, not from the mainland UK, but of all the islands. So I'd be the best wrestler from the Isle of Man. I've already got that kind of thing. I was like, go to the Isle of Islay, like Sark Island. Where else could I go? Jersey, Guernsey. So many territories to be the best wrestler from.
I love that. I like that. That's a good
idea. As a gimmick, it's like, he's the guy who only wrestles on islands.
Yeah, there's something there, isn't there? Like, you never touch the mainland, you only do the
exactly.
islands.
Like, I don't wrestle in England. I'm too good for that to set foot on soil. Only on the islands.
I actually kind of like that.
I really like that. That's actually a really good idea.
You're too good for the mainland.
I'll have to find some island. There's like an island off the side of Finland as well, which is kind of Swedish territory called Åland.
Oh, yeah.
That's like that, and it's like a disputed territory, so they all speak Swedish there, but it's a part of Finland, or the other way around. So I have to wrestle there, and sort of.
It's like how Denmark has an island up near Greenland, or whatever it is. Yeah, it's like it's so far away, it's closer to Scotland, but it belongs to Denmark, and you should hit up those islands too. Do all of those surrounding islands, but never step foot.
Like the Faroe Islands.
The Faroe Islands, yeah, that's it.
Have they got a wrestling scene there?
Well, I did not realise this, but that is a fantastic idea. I think that's one of the best ideas I've ever had.
Isn't that the thing in wrestling though? Everyone says everything's been done, but my thing is like you got to think outside the box. You haven't been creative enough. It's like I'm the champion of all the small island nations.
Yeah.
Now, do you know where I got the idea from for that? It's like we have like the Isle of Man have the Island Games, which nobody knows about, and it's a competition like the Olympic Games, but we play just with small island nations against each other. I think we have every 4 years. And the Isle of Man, where I come from, usually wins quite a lot of the time because we have the most population.
I love that.
Basically, my wrestling gimmick would be that. The champion of every island.
Yeah, I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold. That's brilliant.
That's one of the best ideas I've ever had. I genuinely mean that. I absolutely love that. That could work, man. That could work.
Madagascar Pro Wrestling Champion. Gibraltar, here we come.
Gibraltar. And then you can always go do like other... It doesn't have to be European islands. It can be any island. You can do like Samoa or Tonga.
Seychelles Championship.
Yeah. Seychelles.
It's like when I've taken all these over and I'm getting too cocky, I'd be like, right, I'm going to go to the best island nation. I'm going to go to Japan and beat all them up. Then I get there and I'm like, lose them like half a minute to
Okada.
Yeah, exactly. Like, right, now it's time to take on the big boss.
Love it. It writes itself. It really does.
I'm genuinely sold on this. I really am. I think it's brilliant. I want to come along for the ride. I really do.
I do want to come along for the ride, but I can't imagine how expensive the plane tickets would be. Hopping the islands.
We'll start with the islands of Scotland first, because I've got to kind of plan with that. If the corona everything works out. We'll see.
All right.
And we'll get a little wooden boat, and we'll be fine.
We'll love the gimmick. I'll be a ship hand. Jamie can be a pirate. You're the captain. We'll go and invade the islands.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
I'm down with that, man. I'm down with that.
So it started off as a podcast, and now we've planned an epic voyage.
World domination.
Shouldn't all podcasts kind of go that way? Really?
This has been so much fun, honestly.
Yeah, you are a delight to talk to.
Really, it's been so much fun. But before we wrap it up as well, and obviously you will come back, won't you? Because we definitely want you back.
Anytime. I might if you want me to wrangle together some other people from the Stockholm wrestling scene, we can do a joint podcast as well. We'll see what we can do.
Hell yeah,
awesome, man.
But it's such a pleasure talking with you guys today.
Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Pleasure's ours, man. Pleasure's ours. We say it all the time, You're giving us your time. We're marks. We're fans,
Fans with a microphone, that's all we are. Great name for a podcast.
Yeah.
We love it, man, honestly. The fact that you give us your time is everything to us. So we thank you. We really do.
Oh, man, there's no worries. I was without you guys doing these kind of things, we couldn't do what we do in the ring as well. I mean, it's both sides here. So, but yeah, thank you guys. It's been really fun, entertaining. It's like 40 minutes has gone by like that. So
yeah, like I said, we usually need 20 minutes, but me and Jamie both, I guess, at the same time realised we'll just keep this one going because it's such a good chat. It would be a shame to cut it short. So,
right, we'll have a follow up sometime, lads.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Tell everybody where they can find you social media.
So on the social medias, Marcus of Man, as in Isle of Man, you can find it on Facebook at a Facebook page there, but mostly on Instagram. You can either look for Marcus of Man or MJ Shill. So it's like one word, MJ Shill. On Twitter, it's also MJ Shill or Marcus of Man. You can find that, all the hashtags. And follow Stockholm Wrestling. Give us a look there. Stockholm Wrestling Champion. Lots of information going on there. Where to see future shows. Check out Stockholm Wrestling on YouTube. We put up full matches with English commentary. See a lot of the stars there. So, yeah, check it out.
Excellent. I'll check that out tonight, definitely. But for now, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been so much fun. We'll definitely get you back.
Brilliant. We've got ourselves a pirate crew going on here. We started off as like a podcast host, ended up as a pirate crew.
The dream.
Hell yeah. And next time, when we get you back, we'll all dress as pirates. For now, Mark and Man, we are Ringsiders. Thank you very much.